You hiked rates today, that was expected. Your guidance, though, seems to have been more hawkish than the market had anticipated. Why did you want to be more hawkish than the market had expected?
Well, we don't use the term hawkish, but you are correct in stressing that, well, first we increased the policy rate. That was more or less expected, I think. But then we also signalized a slightly faster, further increase in the policy rate during the following year. On the other hand, there's the path for the interest rate, the policy rate that we presented today is lower going further into our projection period. The background for this new policy rate path is that on the one hand, internationally, we see, especially in Europe, in our neighborhood, we see lower growth, still uncertainties of different kinds. But for the Norwegian economy, the recent information is in the other direction. It underlines that growth in the Norwegian economy is even stronger than we foresaw. Employment is growing.
Okay.
The wage growth is coming up, and so forth. And then there is no any longer need for the low rates that we still have.
Meanwhile, around you, central banks are either cutting rates or at least turning more dovish. We see in Frankfurt and in Stockholm a more dovish turn. How immune do you think the Norwegian story is to the global trends that are causing other central banks to turn in a different direction?
Well, as a small open economy, the Norwegian economy is definitely dependent on what's happening abroad, and weaker growth still, or perhaps increased uncertainties of different kinds, explains the lower level of our policy path that we see looking forward. But on the other hand, we have to also react on the information as regards the growth potential and the actual cycle in our own economy, and which goes in the other direction. And that's the balance we seek to have in our decisions and in our forward guidance.
Your news this morning, your guidance in particular, has sent the Norwegian krone higher this morning. Is that something that now worries you, Governor?
No, that's the short answer, and that we will. To some extent, we surprised the market. I think it's correct to say that, in the sense that we lifted our policy rate path in the short term. So we did actually expect more or less the same, the impact on the krone in the stronger direction that we have seen. And also looking forward, given the strength in the Norwegian economy, and also given the fact that we are proceeding to raise policy rates slightly faster than in our neighboring countries, we do expect a modest strengthening of our currency. So that's more or less as expected.
Give me your thoughts on other central banks and why they struggle to raise inflation at this point. Clearly, they want some of what you've got going on there at the Norges Bank.
Because the situation and the fundamentals in the different economies are quite different. The Norwegian economy has benefited for decades from oil revenues and from the impacts of the increasing activities in the petroleum industry. We are still in that situation, and actually, if you take the much higher investments in our oil industry this year and to some extent next year tells you that oil is still a growth engine in the Norwegian economy. That's one reason.